In the world of business, communication is the lifeblood that keeps everything flowing smoothly. But what happens when that communication becomes murky, when it's riddled with ambiguity? That's where the secret toll of communication ambiguity comes into play, a toll that both managers and employees unknowingly pay, often at the expense of their sanity and productivity. Let's start by defining what we mean by ambiguous communication. It's that frustrating moment when you're in a meeting and someone says something that sounds like it could mean 100 different things. You nod along, but inside you're screaming, "What on earth are you talking about? This isn't just a minor inconvenience. It can spiral into a major issue." Ambiguous communication, also known as equivocation or double talk, occurs when one person or group is unclear about what they mean. It's like trying to navigate a maze without a map, exhausting and often pointless. Research from the University of New Mexico and Germany's Max Planck Institute for Human Cognitive and Brain Sciences shows that when decision-making lacks clarity, organizations can suffer from suboptimal outcomes. This means that ambiguity doesn't just confuse individuals, it can derail entire teams and projects. Imagine being in a workplace where you're constantly second-guessing what your boss wants, or where your colleagues seem to be speaking a different language. It creates an environment of stress and anxiety where everyone is on edge, unsure of what's expected of them. Now let's talk about the hidden costs of this ambiguity. First, there's the time wasted trying to decipher what someone really means. You know the drill. You receive an email that's so vague it could apply to anyone and everyone, and suddenly you're spending hours trying to figure out how to respond. All that time spent in confusion is time taken away from actually getting work done. It's like running on a treadmill. You're putting in effort, but going nowhere. Then there's the conflict that arises from misunderstandings. Picture this. Two coworkers are working on a project, but due to unclear communication, they end up going in completely different directions. When they finally realize what's happened, it's too late. Frustration boils over, and instead of collaborating, they're arguing over who misunderstood whom. Ambiguity breeds resentment, and that resentment can fester, creating a toxic work environment. Let's not forget about trust. When communication is ambiguous, it's hard to trust your colleagues. If you can't tell what someone wants from you, it's easy to assume the worst. You start to wonder if they're trying to set you up for failure or if they just don't care about the project. This lack of trust can lead to a breakdown in teamwork, where people are less likely to share ideas or collaborate effectively. They're too busy protecting their own interests rather than working towards a common goal. So, how does this ambiguity creep into organizations? It often starts with unclear communication processes or a vague vision. If a company doesn't have a clear direction, employees can become lost, unsure of how to contribute effectively. This lack of clarity can lead to apathy, where employees disengage because they feel their efforts won't make a difference. They become passive participants in their own work lives, and that's a dangerous place to be. Another culprit is the lack of clarity around roles and responsibilities. Imagine being in a situation where your job description is so broad that you have no idea what's expected of you. When organizations experiment with new structures or responsibilities without proper communication, employees can feel like they're in a game of musical chairs, constantly shifting without knowing where they'll land. This confusion can lead to decreased productivity and morale, as people feel uncertain about their effectiveness. Training, guidance, and supervision are also critical. When organizations fail to provide these, employees can feel lost and unsupported. Without the skills and knowledge they need, they're left to flounder, leading to frustration and decreased productivity. It's like sending someone into battle without armor. They're unprepared and vulnerable. Leadership plays a significant role in this equation. If leaders are unclear or insensitive, they can exacerbate the problem. Employees need to feel supported and understood. When leadership lacks clarity, it can lead to a disconnect between management and staff, resulting in apathy and disengagement. Employees start to question the organization's vision and mission, which can lead to a downward spiral of morale. And let's not overlook the impact of mistakes and miscommunication. When errors happen, they can create a ripple effect of confusion. If employees don't feel safe to admit their mistakes, or if communication breaks down, it can lead to a culture of fear. People start to hide problems rather than addressing them, which only compounds the ambiguity. So, how can organizations combat this communication ambiguity? First and foremost, they need to reflect their purpose and direction clearly. This means articulating the organization's vision, values, and standards in a way that everyone can understand. When employees know what the organization stands for and what it's trying to achieve, they can align their efforts accordingly. Listening to employees is crucial. They are the ones on the front lines, and their insights can provide valuable feedback on how to improve communication. Leaders need to create an environment where employees feel comfortable sharing their thoughts and concerns. By actively seeking their input, organizations can foster a culture of openness and transparency. Actions must align with values and vision. Employees hold organizations accountable for what they say and do. Leaders need to set an example by embodying the values they preach. If there's a disconnect between words and actions, trust erodes and ambiguity reigns. Giving employees a voice is another essential step. When employees understand the objectives of their roles, they can contribute more effectively. Clear expectations help create a sense of purpose, leading to increased engagement and productivity. Clarifying the mission is vital. In the hustle and bustle of daily work life, it's easy to lose sight of the bigger picture. Leaders must regularly communicate the organization's mission and ensure that everyone is aligned with it. This focus helps keep ambiguity at bay. Setting clear expectations is critical for both employees and leaders. When everyone knows what's expected of them, it creates a culture of accountability and transparency. It's easier to collaborate and work towards common goals when there's no confusion about roles and responsibilities. Finally, cultivating leadership at all levels is essential. Empower employees to develop their leadership skills and encourage direct communication. When everyone feels like a leader in their own right, it fosters a culture of collaboration and shared responsibility. In conclusion, the secret toll of communication ambiguity is one that organizations can no longer afford to ignore. It creates stress, hinders productivity, and can even lead to job loss. By taking proactive steps to reduce ambiguity, organizations can create a more harmonious and productive workplace. Clear communication isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a necessity for success. So let's commit to fostering an environment where clarity reigns, where everyone knows their role, and where collaboration flourishes. The benefits will be felt not just in productivity, but in employee satisfaction and overall organizational health. And isn't that what we all want? A workplace where we feel valued, understood, and empowered to do our best work?